Hey there, this is Pam Perry. Welcome to Get Out There and Get Known podcast. We are live today and we have a guest, Ron Story Jr. But before we get into that, we're going to talk today about speaking and getting gigs and getting on podcasts, getting out there and getting known, what we're known for on this podcast, episode 100 plus. And really, the whole thing about getting out there, getting known is letting people know who you are, what you do, and who you serve. And so today we're going to talk about a really simple system on how to do that. But this show is brought to you by Quick Media Coverage. And before we get into our guests and I'll read the formal bio about Ron, I'll play a quick little note about Quick Media Coverage and why it is actually needed. So right after this, I'll read the bio and bring up Ron. Hey, this is Pam Perry, really giving you a PR pep talk. How to get publicity. What can it do for you? Why do you need it? What's it do? How much it costs? I'm going to answer those questions in a sec. So what can Quick Media Coverage do? It can help you increase your visibility online, extend your reach, stand out from the crowd, higher ranking on Google so you can get found. SEO is important. That's what PR can do for you, for sure. So when you're ready, go to pamperrypr.com. Love for you to get out there and get known. Get in all of the media that you see on the website, pamperrypr.com. Take a pic of the packages for the PR on pamperrypr.com. All righty, we'll see you there.
Welcome to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast. Join Pam Perry, veteran PR strategist, Emmy award-winning producer and publisher of Speakers Magazine, who will show you how to crack the code in getting out there to get known. Each week, she either interviews her media friends, PR colleagues, or she just goes solo, offering you strategies on publicity, publishing, and platform building. So listen up to hear how to get booked on media places and on superstar stages. Now, here's your host, Pam Perry.
All right. So good. So welcome to Get Out There, Get Known podcast. You know all about quick media coverage, how to get out there and get known. So the main thing we're going to be talking about is how to pitch yourself to get out there and get known, how to know what to say, who to say it to, and how often should you say it. So really, without further ado, I'm going to bring up our guest today, Ron.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Well, thank you for joining us today because I'm excited because we just recently learned how much synergy we have together. And I'm excited to really talk about a new partnership that we're going to have speakers get on more podcasts and to get more opportunities to get more speaking gigs. And it's really a beauty, I guess you would say, about that because so many times people, especially speakers, and authors, they're feeling like there's so much noise out there. How do I get seen? How to get heard? Who do I talk to? They don't have the time to do all the research. So I want them to know a little bit about the partnership that we're going to be doing today. And one of the things is that it really is a brainchild of yours for many, many years that you have had about this, right? Because you are a entrepreneur, you're out of St. Louis, but you live in Columbia and you do all these things, but you're really a whiz at a lot of the marketing and the I guess you call CRMs, customer relationship management software. And that's what really we're going to talk about because Ron, I know that I've tried Cision, I've tried other podcasts, directories. I've done a lot of the research as a publicist. I had to do all this research. And so I have databases. I've got Muck Rack and this and that. There is nothing like what we're really going to be bringing to people today that is so easy. It's really easy. So tell us about it. Tell us how it got started and all that kind of stuff.
So several years ago, I was doing what we call cold email. And cold email is when you reach out to people that you don't know and ask them to set a sales meeting with you or for an introductory meeting or whatever your objective is. You just reach out to someone strange, right? Someone that you don't know. And we used to call it cold calling, right? When people would pick up the phone and call you. Well, but that's how most businesses are built. The businesses usually don't talk about it because it's not sexy and they don't really want other people to know their secrets. So they would rather get people to believe that they're just dancing on TikTok all day. But in reality, they're sending emails talking to strangers.
Hmm.
So while I was wanting to do that more, I ended up buying a company out of Austin, Texas that had created this large database of contacts, but they had a way to send emails. And one of my friends, she said, "Hey, can you help me to get speaking gigs with your stupid database?" I'm like, "Wait, how are you going to ask for something and then be offensive at the same time? Like, you can't call it a stupid database if it's actually meant to help you." I'm sorry about my phone.
So
So with that, I said, "Hey, let me try. I can get you meetings with the meeting plan, but it's up to you to close the deals." So we started to do the outreach, and I was like, "Wait a minute, I think we're onto something," because she talks about how hard this is. I'm like, "This ain't that hard. It's just work," right? And eventually she had 10 meetings with meeting planners. And she
wow.
said, "You should fix this for other people. If you can turn this into software, this will be great." So that's what started the mission to us building PitchDB. And we launched in November of 2019 with as a speaking gig database, a database for speaking gigs and press. And then the pandemic happened and all of that stuff that we know about. And at that point, we added podcasts. So to kind of round this around, we have 3.1 million podcasts, over 100,000 speaking gigs, local associations, press contacts. So there's no reason for you not to be able to get your message out in front of the right people.
Hmm. So I put the link down there. I don't know if that's the official link.
Yep.
It is. Okay. All right. All right. So so I figure you're the operations guy, right? So you know how to pitchdb.com/ speakers magazine.
Yep.
And that really is, and I want people to understand that when he said meeting planners, in order to speak at, I don't know, South by Southwest or the Forbes or any kind of conference that's going on year after year, even, Black Enterprise, Essence Fest, we just had this weekend. The meeting planners are the ones that really kind of pull all of the things together. If they're not the ones that really decide who speaks, they're the ones that bring it all to the table so that everything pulls together.
Mm-hmm.
So meeting planners are not like you can just Google meeting planners. And I don't
No.
think anybody has the time to just Google meeting planners, but it's all in one spot. And then podcasts. Podcasts, like Get Out There, Get Known. There, and I have another podcast, Speakers Magazine. You can go into listen notes and you can try to figure all this out, or you can go into Apple Podcasts and you can just kind of try and figure it out. But then this is all in one spot, because if you want to be on podcasts consistently, you have to know who to send the email to and follow up. Okay, so the key is follow up. So it's not just sending it, because
Mm-hmm.
it takes at least 4 or 5 times in order to reach somebody. So you've got to follow up. And so what system do you have? And like you said, you can put it in a Google Docs, you can put it in Excel, whatever. You're still going to not have it all in one spot, because you got the meeting planners over here, you got the podcast people over here. You may have some media, the radio, TV, and print over here, but you don't know what's going on at any point in time. You need to know your numbers.
Mm-hmm.
How many have you sent out? How many have responded? How many need follow up? And what I found is, even if you have Cision, which is, we pay like about $8,000 a year, PR agencies pay that, it's still not the same, because you don't have all the other elements in there as well as the meeting planners. And so you need to know that if you want something all in one place, this happens. And so, if it doesn't matter how great of a speaker you are, Ron, and we talked about this, that it's really a way of making sure that you are sending out information to people on a regular basis, so that they will say, yes, you're in time for the deadline, or yes, we are looking for guests. Because if you don't do that, it doesn't matter how great you are. And so this is like the perfect tool to get out there, get known. So many people think it happens by magic. Like, I just need to hire a publicist and they will just wave a magic wand. I usually have my wand here. They'll wave a magic wand and they'll just put me on all these podcasts and these shows. But it's really a numbers game, and it's really about leads.
Yeah, and I think that that's one of the things that surprises people is that over the last year, I personally, for our done for you clients, sent over 200,000 emails. Okay.
Wow.
So we send a lot of emails, right around 20,000 a month on the done for you side, right?
Hmm.
So with that being the case, we're constantly learning what should we be saying, who should we be reaching out to, all of those things,
Hmm.
right? We're constantly saying that, right? So once we learn those things, we try to implement it into the software so that it works, right?
Hmm.
So that's the one thing that we know is that if you had someone who sent 10 perfect pitches and then someone who sent 100 imperfect pitches, the person who sent 100 will probably outperform the person that sent the 10.
Because it's imperfect may not necessarily might be the timing. Maybe they didn't go through. Maybe it was the wrong timing for those perfect 10. You just never know.
Exactly.
It's a variable. It's a variable. It's an art and a science, but it really is like a science because the more that you send, the more likely you're going to have people respond. It's
Yep.
just really that simple. And
No,
I like the fact that you curate every week uh, different conferences that are looking for speakers.
yep. So
That's
every
something
week
that you
we
do,
go
or
out
you
and we
have.
try to find, yeah, we try to find new conferences. Why? Because new conferences are coming out every single week. Now, the one
Mhm.
of our requirements is that the conference has to happen at least 3 years in a row for us to add them to the database.
Ah, okay.
So if it's happening 3 years in a row, we have a high likelihood that it's going to happen the next year. So
Mm,
we know that we're getting not these fly by night conferences, but we're getting the ones that are going to be consistent, right?
mhm,
So they'll be
mhm.
consistent this year and they'll be consistent next year. So even if you're not able to get booked this year, one of my best pitches for our conference clients is, are you looking for alternative speakers for this conference
Yeah,
or speakers for an upcoming event?
yes.
So they can think of me as an alternative. Keep me on your B list for this one if I'm past the deadline, but put me on your A list for the one that's
Next
coming
one.
up.
That's good. And that's really the main thing. Speakers want to be on the stages.
Mhm.
And in order to be on the stages, I can teach you what to say. I can teach you all the branding elements that you need. I can teach and tell you all the different databases that you can go and look at. But the bottom line is it's going to come down to time. It's not that people can't do it. It's just like it's the time to do it. So explain the process, I guess you would say, about the pitches. Like they have so many pitches that they can do themselves, and you
Yep.
said it takes about 10 minutes a day. So explain that process.
Yeah. So basically, I like to say that PitchDB is built around what we already know, which is three platforms. We know how to use Google, which is search.
Hmm.
We know how to add things to a shopping cart, which is right, and we know how to send email, which is Gmail. So in
Hmm.
PitchDB, you follow those three systems. The first thing you do is you search and you find the podcast that you want, just like you would in Google. And then
Hmm.
you click on the ones that you want to go on after you've listened to them, just like you would add things to the shopping cart on Amazon, right?
Hmm.
And then when you're ready to check out, right, you click the button and you write an email like you do with Gmail. So that's basically how simple it is. If you've already built a list, or even if you haven't, if you built a list, it goes really fast. But if you haven't built a list, you can decide if you want to be reaching out to a podcast or a speaking gig in under 3 minutes. So you
Yes.
can go from finding it, reading the description, adding it to a list, entering one of your templates, and sending that email in under 3 minutes.
And it's all in the app. That's what I like about it. It's all in the app. You don't have to go
Yep.
out. You don't have to export a list. You don't have to do any of that. It's all in there because I have done it. So I know how easy it is. With Cision, it wasn't as easy. It was always just a struggle. And no shade against Cision, but when you're spending like $8,000 a year, you really want it to be simple. Actually, you want somebody to do it for you if you spend that much money. So, but you do have a done for you uh, service as well. So we could talk about that as well, or even I'll put it on the sales page in the notes, and we could do that as
Yeah.
well.
So basically on the done for you service, we will do the outreach for you, right? One of my team members will log into your account and they will send the pictures on your behalf, right?
Mhm, mm,
So if you don't have the time to do it, or you don't trust that you can hire a virtual assistant that you would end up paying 15, 20, $30 an hour for, right? To do the same work, you can hire us to do it. And you know that there's a certain level of quality that you're going to get.
mm,
It's my team. I'm not doing it personally, but it's someone on my team that I've transferred the knowledge to. So they
Mhm.
know how I think about it. They know how I would go about it. And I'm just repeating what I would do.
I love it. So if I were a speaker, this would be the thing that I would use. I would use quick media coverage to get guaranteed media placement so that my story can be told. And then I actually have a digital footprint across the landscape. I would use Pitch DBD, Speakers Magazine, to get the pitches done so that you can see, like, okay, so now I'm on podcasts, people are hearing my voice. Now I'm actually applying to more speaking gigs. I would do those two things. And if you're really serious, and I say people are serious, then this is what you would do. It can't get any easier than this. It really
Yeah.
can't. I mean, it's like the only thing that you and I talked about, Ron, is that they're back in terms of their elements, their branding assets that they have. They have to make sure that those are sharp because obviously when you're filling out a call for speakers form and application, they ask for certain elements. They ask for a speaker reel, they ask for photos, they ask for a bio, they ask what media have you been in lately. They're going to ask for certain things. So we don't have control over that. We can help you with that, but that part is on you. So we can help you generate the leads, help you be in front of people, help you get out there and get known. But in terms of the final analysis of it, it's like, okay, so you have all these things, you've been in front of all these people. Now you got to close them. And the closing of it just depends on the way your position, your website, whether you have certain things in order. They look at your social media. Is it raggedy? Is it good? I mean,
Mhm.
there's a whole list of things. Do you have a book? Sometimes that matters too. If you have a book, is the book good? How old is the book? What's the cover look like? We can go into a whole lot of things like that. But the main thing is that getting in front of people and knowing how to search. So today I did something. I was looking for a client for them to be on a particular TV show, and I was looking
Mhm.
for the producer. Went in there, 2 seconds, found it, sent it, and it went off. Okay, and I'm literally saying like it was under 5 minutes. So I put in under TV because you have it by magazines, newspapers, um, television and radio. So I looked under television. I put in the station name that I was looking for. It pulled up all of the TV people, and then I
Mhm.
saw who the producer was, and I actually sent the email through the system. And that's how simple it was. And now they're part of the contacts, and you can tag them and all that kind of stuff. But I love the fact that it's so easy. It is so easy. So tell some of the testimonials of some of the people that have used the service because I was just excited. One person I saw in particular was Sylvia Hubbard. So I knew her, so I knew it was good.
Yeah, so basically, what we used to do is a thing called the booked in 5 days challenge or the high five challenge, where basically you would hop in, and the goal was to send 5 pitches to 5 people in 5 minutes over 5 days, right?
Okay.
So everything was about fives. It shouldn't take you more than 5 minutes. You don't have to reach out to more than 5 people. You don't have to do it for more than 5 days, and you should see some results.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So the best person out of the 25 pitches that they sent, they got 13 responses.
Wow.
Right? The worst, the least performer
Mhm.
got two.
Okay.
Okay, so that's really good in my
Over
opinion.
five days. Yeah.
If I could
Yeah.
get two responses and get booked on two podcasts with a half hour worth of investment of my time to set it up, how do I complain about that? I should just
Mhm.
keep doing that, you know?
Yeah, because you couldn't call that many people on the phone or text them, or even find out if you do a Google search, you're going to have to like figure out who you're going to send it to. So I always tell people, I said, when you're on podcasts, and the beauty of being on a podcast is that you're on another person's platform, right? So
Mhm.
your voice is being heard on their platform, on their network of people that they are sharing their people who listen to podcasts are very loyal. So you're on their platform and you're exposing yourself to their audience. So the main thing when you are going to select a podcast, don't select a podcast because you like that podcast. Think of it as a podcast that your audience, that particular audience will be interested in what you have to say,
Yep.
what you have to sell, what you want to speak on. So you're going to listen to the podcast within the app to make sure that it's the right audience, and you want to make sure that it's the right temperament of that. So it's a whole part of really understanding going back to square one, understanding your personal brand, understand what it is that you wanted to do, and not just go in there and say, I'm gonna go all the podcasts, I'm gonna send out a pitch starting with A to Z. No.
No, they. I don't think they have the time to send 3 million 3
Mm,
million pitches to them.
mm,
Right? But
mm-mm.
I'll give them a trick. So here's something that I get asked all the time. I'll tell you what it is. We always get asked. So, um,
Yeah, I will say that. I will say raggedy because I will tell you straight up. Auntie Pam will be like, "Okay, is it raggedy or what?" That's why you ain't. That's why people won't get booked.
yeah. So what I've found is people they always ask me, um, how big is the podcast? Right? Like, is it a big podcast? And my question is this. This is the simple question that I always like to respond with is if you were invited to speak to a room of people who were interested in your product, right? You were invited to speak to a room of 50 people that were all interested in your product. Would you go and give that speech?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Why?
because
Because
they're searching. They would be searching for you. They're looking for you. They are your gang. That's your tribe. Those are your people.
so, and those 50 people, they were going to listen to you talk for maybe a half hour or an hour. Would you go and give that speech? Heck yeah, we all would, right? But we would never say, well, I only want to go and speak at the speaking gigs with my audience that has 10,000 people. But that's what people do with podcasts. They'll say, well, that podcast didn't have a large listenership.
Mhm.
But if they have 50 people, those 50 people are in your audience and they're dedicated to listening to you for an hour, 45 minutes, 30 minutes or something.
That's your
Is it the
target.
audience or is it you? Is it that you're not good enough? Right.
Mhm.
So the first thing I always like to think about is, man, am I giving the audience the best shot to succeed? Right. Am I being the best prepared person for this conversation? Because if I'm not, then who cares what I get out of it? Because
Mhm.
I've already cheated the audience. Right. So I'm a firm believer that I'll go on any podcast. I don't care if it's 6 people listening or 65,000. I'm going and I'm going to give it my best shot because that's what the audience deserves. It's not about me. So I'm always thinking, how can I give more? Whether it's one person in the room and I'm talking to one individual on a Zoom sales call, or it's 8,000 people if I were to ever speak at a stadium, they all deserve the same amount of attention because you never know who's listening or who's watching you while you're
Mhm.
doing those things.
Yep.
So
Seth talks about that as well. He says you never know who's listening, who is watching. Seth is an example because you could be referred. It may not be the exact person who is the person that you need to sell, but then that person who is listening could refer you. So that's very, very good. And that's
exactly. So I'll tell you why this is important, right? So there's a gentleman named Pete Vargas, right?
hmm hmm
And I was doing a Pete Vargas is big with Grant Cardone, and he has this big speakers
speaking thing.
platform.
hmm
And I was doing a live with someone, and his director of booking signed up for PitchDB. I had no clue this guy was on the call.
Wow.
He signed up for PitchDB. I get a call, a text message the next day from Grant saying, "Hey man, I want to talk about potentially buying the company." And I was
Wow.
like, "I'm not prepared for that, man. We're like 6 months old. I wasn't ready for that." But imagine if I would have sucked on that call.
Right.
If I would
You
have been
never know who's
terrible on
listening.
that call, I don't know who's watching. This would have been Pete Vargas's first impression of our company and what we're doing. So I'm a firm believer, give it your best shot, no matter who's in the audience. Why? Because that one person, that's their first impression of you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I want to make sure that the first impression of me is one that's strong, one that people can believe in, and it's giving them the opportunity to succeed. I don't
hmm
want you to listen to me if I'm not giving you the best opportunities for you to succeed.
hmm And one of the things that I want people to understand about Speakers Magazine, just overall, the reason why I love speakers, one, they're messengers. I call them light bearers, right? They're sharing the message. I've always been a person that would promote those authors and speakers that are light bearers, those messengers that are trying to change the world for the better. Because you
Mhm.
never know, one message can change someone's life, one book can change someone's life. And so I'm all about that. Subject matter experts, those who have that expertise, but because they know their information, they may not know how to reach out to let other people know this is what they do.
Mhm.
I feel like that's my assignment. And for you, this PitchDB is your assignment. The marriage of it is that Speakers Magazine promotes people, promotes the speakers, let people know exactly who they are. They're in conferences. They're at this is one here from January. They're sharing their books and that sort of thing. And then also too quick media coverage to have their stories told by a reporter, whether it's in ERU Web or whether it's on USA Wire or it's New York Weekly, whatever. It's the story is told through the by the reporter. But the other part that is the ing, the marketing all the time, every day, 10 minutes, is making sure that you're sending out those links from the stories, that you're letting people know you were featured in Speakers Magazine, you're sending out information to let people know who you are. It doesn't matter how well you know your subject. The whole point of it is that anything that is going to be sold you have to be aware of it. You have
Mhm.
to have people who are aware of it. You have to have people who are interested in it, people who want it. And then that's where the whole part of really when you see some speakers who are doing very, very well, it's like, well, why are they doing so well? They're always speaking. It's because they're always talking and pitching, but they're pitching to the right people.
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
and I think people think it's a lot more complicated than it is, but we have technology that can help you and people that can teach you.
Well,
That's the whole point.
so I'll tell you what it is, and this is what I've learned, right? So PitchDB has over 2,000 people that have used it, right? And I interviewed like 4,000 before we let people just sign up. So we would do Zoom meetings like this with each customer to learn how they were going to use it and what they were going to use it for.
Mhm.
And what I learned is that most people in basketball, we call it the pump fake. They pump fake. They're gonna shoot, but they don't shoot, right? They make a list and they like, yeah, I'm gonna send it next month, right? When my book come out, I'm gonna send it when my book come out. When my course comes out, I'm gonna send it when my course is ready. But guess what? I, every book has pre-sales. Every movie, they're running the
The trailer.
previews
Mhm.
before the movie comes out, right?
Mhm.
So you need to build momentum into your launches. But we want it to be perfect, and it's never going to be perfect. I remember, 10 years ago, I thought I was good on podcasts until I watched them podcasts last month from 10 years ago. I'm like, I was terrible, right? Like I
Well, we course
overtalked my
correct.
voice.
Yeah, we course correct as we go. We
Yeah,
gotta get started. Yeah.
but the issue is sometimes that fear of needing to course correct, we we don't even get started,
Yeah.
right? So they always say you don't have to be great to start, but you got to start to ever be great,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And PitchDB is designed to allow you got 3 million podcasts. If 2.9 million of them say no, that still means you were on 100,000 of them.
Mhm.
We got over 40,000 associations. If 39,000 of them say no, you still went and spoke at 1,000 of them, right?
That's
We
good.
got 32,000 speaking opportunities. If 31,000 of them say no, you still rich.
Mhm.
It's like,
Mhm.
come on. Like, so when I talk with my speaker clients that are done for you that do probably 50 to 60 gigs a year. I was surprised to find that 90% of speakers do under 5 gigs a year, right? Under five. So the ones that I'm talking about are doing 50 to 60, meaning they're speaking basically every weekend, or they may do two in the weekend, a Friday, Saturday at a
Mhm.
university, and then they'll take 2 weeks off or something like that. But they're doing 50 to 60 gigs a year. They never stop pitching,
There you go. That's
right?
the part.
So imagine if McDonald's stopped running ads, their sales would go down. Even though everybody knows what McDonald's is, there's a group of people that are born every day who have never heard of McDonald's.
Or you
There's
just
some
you have
people
to
who,
be
yeah,
top of
exactly.
mind
Yeah, or
because
they
you
may
can
introduce a new product and we don't know about the new product. Chipotle came out with a new type of chicken. I've been out of the country. They didn't have that when I got back to visit my mom. Guess what I went and bought? That new Chipotle bowl with the adobo chicken. Let's try it. It was horrible, but I tried it.
And just like with anything, because I used to do PR for McDonald when I worked at a PR agency. So they take a percentage of their sales, no matter what their sales are, and that is just automatically earmarked on what they're going to do for their advertising, marketing, and PR budget. It is a set thing for life. It's not like, okay, we're good. We made this much money. We're not going to market and do any promotions anymore. No, it's set for life. That is a line item of what they do. That's part of their business model. And I don't know why speakers think that I have put out a book, it's on Amazon, I got some buzz, so I'm good. It's like even the top speakers are continually marketing. You see Willie Jolly on LinkedIn and he's doing his thing, he's doing content marketing. That's what that is. Les Brown is still doing content marketing. Even though Les Brown is a brand name, he still is out there. And it's so many other ones that I know that are great, but they don't do it consistently. They don't market themselves consistently. They don't get out there often enough for the people to remember them. It's not that they aren't good, it's just that people forget. And you've got to stay top of mind. Pitching is that. And I will say that you do have an email list and you're going to email to your email list. That's fine. Those are people already on your email list. I'm talking about people who don't know about you yet. Those are what you have to pitch to for sure.
Yeah, usually the people on your email list are potential customers. They're not usually event planners, right? So the people on your email list are the people that you're normally teaching. They're not the people usually hiring you. So what we wanted to provide was a list of people that can hire you, not
Mm,
buy your course, not do your 5-day challenge, but they could hire you, bring you in to talk to their corporation on a $30,000 contract. They could hire you and bring you in every 6 months to do some type of coaching. They
mm.
could get you in Entrepreneur Magazine, Forbes, or something like that because they write about your topic or whatever you're covering, right? You can go and talk to the local association and be known amongst the insurance agents as I am, as the guy that can get speaking gigs for financial advisors, right? Because I go speak at those conferences,
Yes.
right? But the person who's booking me, she's just a marketing event planner. She don't care about doing any speaking. Her job is to organize the event.
Mhm, mhm.
So that's what we're wanting to provide with PitchDB, an opportunity for you to get on platforms, right?
Yes,
And that platform will give you some leverage to do one-to-many marketing,
there
right?
you go.
You're not talking one-to-one, it's one-to-many.
Many.
What we're doing right now is a referral. If you're listening to this and you would love to have referrals, Pam having me on this show is her referring me to her audience.
And I don't
So
refer anybody. So I vetted Ron's story, and I've been following him for a while, and it was like, "This is the piece that's missing." I said, "They can have quick media coverage, they can have Speakers Magazine." I said, "But they need to know how to pitch and know who to pitch it to and have a system, an easy system, because there are systems out there. Like we talked about some of the speakers bureaus and things like that, but we needed an easy system. So that's why I love this. So go on.
yeah. So I'm a firm believer that you're getting a referral by being on that podcast. So I get to borrow the trust that Pam has already built with you guys, right? And by borrowing that trust, now you trust me a little bit more than if I just sent you a cold email. Because
No,
you're like, well, Pam ain't gonna have an idiot on her podcast. She's not just gonna embarrass herself.
no.
So by doing this, right, by having me on, now I get a referral into the thousands of people who may watch this,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
Now, I'm going to show you another hack. Whenever you go on any podcast, this podcast is designed around Pam's audience, right? So I'm a guest and I'm glad I can provide value. But what if I wanted to expand the audience of the people who are listening to the podcast and who are hearing me talk about this? You know what I can do? When she posts this on YouTube, I can run my own ads to it and get it to my audience,
Yep.
right? So I didn't have to produce any content. I didn't have to edit anything. All I had to do was show up and be valuable.
Mhm,
So if
mhm.
you get on a podcast, you can get in front of thousands of people, right? In the comfort of your own home or in a co-working place like I'm at now, you just set up your computer and you go. The host will do all the editing. They do all the inviting. I didn't have to coordinate StreamYard or anything,
I
right?
invited people. Mhm.
Exactly.
I
So
see
you're getting a
Tiffany and Carla
referral,
and Seth, and yep, I
right?
invited the folks over here. Yeah.
Exactly. So you're getting a referral, a warm introduction, and then the person sit next to you and say, "See, I told you it was good. See, look." It's not like I got to talk to you by yourself and you can't even see her expressions or if she's genuine about how she feels, right? So on that podcast, you build rapport better than any other platform, and it's free most of the time. There
Mhm.
are some pay to play podcasts, but you can ignore those and still be effective,
Mhm.
right?
And
I'm
there
a
are
firm believer.
a
Yeah,
lot
I'm
of
a firm believer. Go on the free ones to get good, so that when you pay your $3,000 to go on John Lee Dumas or whatever these other ones are, you
course.
know you got the goods. Because I spent some money. I got to make sure my call to actions are strong. I'm giving great value. I'm teaching people something. So my hope is that if now I hope you go to the link, but if you never went to the link to use PitchDB, that you found something that I said valuable enough that you can implement without PitchDB.
Yeah.
So even if you don't use PitchDB to get on podcast, you should still be getting on podcast. Even if you don't use PitchDB to get speaking gigs, you should be pitching minimum 20 speaking gigs a day. Minimum 20 a day, right? Because
If you
that way you're overwhelming the marketplace by saying, yo, I pitched 20 a day over a year's time. That means I sent what? What's that? 7,000 speaking pitches?
and you got to be ready.
Send
Gotta be
7,000 pitches to anything, and I guarantee you'll make more money, right?
And this
So,
is just the way what we call outbound marketing, it's outbound marketing. And then eventually when we are doing all the social, we get quote unquote like the inbound, we get the inquiries in, but you have to do both. You just can't do only social media and
but,
post on LinkedIn and Facebook. You've got to do both.
but
And
guess
that
what?
mhm,
Social media is outbound also because you have to post it, which is outbound,
mhm, mhm,
right? You got to post the thing which is outbound. I saw Seth Miller commented. Seth used PitchDB. He's a client of ours, right?
mhm,
His testimonial is on our homepage,
mhm.
right? His face is on our homepage because he got it's
Yeah.
a Facebook post he made. He said, "Family, I sent out 15 pitches in under 10 minutes and I already got 2 responses." That's from Seth in the audience. I know Seth.
And people have to be committed. I mean, Seth is like, I am Seth Miller, in parentheses, the speaker. Okay. So it's like, how committed are you to this? This is like, I am all in. I am all in. And we're just giving you the tools. Seth, you got to try quick media coverage too, because you need your story told as well, and a third party from some of these journalists as well. But you're all in. And some people are kind of lukewarm about it, Ron. They're like, I really want to, but I'm waiting on someone to discover me. Uh, I think because I did a great book, I think people will read it and then people will flock to me. That is not happening in 2023 and beyond. It is just so crowded now in the marketplace. And, we said, well, I just think I can just get viral on TikTok or whatever. And it's like, that's part of it. But yeah, it's like a soup. You're making a soup. So you're going to add this ingredient, add that ingredient, but you do have to pitch. That is one ingredient that people are so afraid of. And it's easy and through your system. It's because it keeps track of it. I liked how you were showing that how many went out, how many were opened, how
Mhm.
many responded, yes or no. If it's a no, that's okay. We've got 3 million podcasts in here. A lot of the no's will be no's, but you'll get some yeses and you can
Mhm.
keep track of them. You got to know your numbers. That's the whole point. Yeah,
Yep.
got to get yourself
So,
out there.
so it's like dating, right? I think I'm a decent dude, but I got some limitations, right? I'm average looking, average height, and over average weight, right?
You're
That's
over
just
average
who I
or
am.
something.
I'm an average dude, right? So if I just wanted to sit back and wait on women to approach me, I'm gonna be single. It just ain't gonna work because everybody don't like me, and that may not be the way that the women that I like
Operate.
deal with attraction, right?
Mhm.
So if I wanted a date, I have to go and say something to them. I risk them telling me no,
Yeah.
but that's okay because I know eventually somebody's going to tell me yes, and I'll have a date, right? We don't think about it from that perspective, right? Because we think that we're all beautiful, and some if the Lord gonna send me somebody, He might, but He might not. The Lord may not send you nobody. So you better go ask people, hey, do you know the Lord? Because if they don't know the Lord, how can the Lord send them? That's how I think about it. So,
Swipe left,
moral of the
swipe
story,
right.
yeah, you got to be pitching. If nobody loves you, create the demand, right? That's from Joel Freeman. Great book. If nobody loves you, how are you going to create the demand so that they know that you're
Yes.
lovable?
I know Dr. Joel Freeman. He's
Yeah,
a very
he's an amazing
he's a
man, you know?
he is amazing. He knows a lot of Black history. He knows more Black history than me, and he's a white guy. And so, yeah, I love Dr. Joel Freeman. So, yeah, it is. You want to create the demand. And one of the things that you want to do is give it a shot. Give it a shot. Go to pitchdb.com/speakers magazine. Give it a shot. And within like 10 minutes or so, decide like, oh my God, this is a piece I had missing. And if you really do want to go and continue with it, you can start out small and then get more robust with it. But at least start. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Just start. That's like the whole point. Just start because it is one of those things. It's like, oh my God, this was made just for speakers to get on podcasts, get in media, conference planners. That's like the piece that really, really is hard. The other part, in terms of media, you can go to quickmediacoverage.com. You can get that as well, but it's all there. It's just about you being committed to it, the process, and really sticking with it, being consistent.
So did we tell them the deal that they're getting? Right.
Oh,
So if they go to pitchdb.com without the speakers magazine, right? And the page is live. So if you go there, it works. But if you just go to pitchdb.com, you're going to see it's $97 a month, $250 a month, or $4.99 a month, something like that. I know one of them is 97, one is $4.99, and they got to pay that every single month. But because you're a part of Speakers Magazine, we set up a special deal where you can pay once and receive new pitches every month as if you were paying monthly. So you can get a lifetime account. So for as little as $97, you will get enough pitches to get on 2 podcasts a month for the rest of your life. So you have no excuse to not be on at least 2 podcasts every single month, which is 25 a year forever,
mm-hmm,
right? If
mm-hmm,
you go up to one of the higher plans, it gives you more pitches,
right.
right? But I had this idea of twos. I said, well, how many podcasts do they need to do? How many pitches do they need to do to get on 2 podcasts? They need to send about 10. You'll get 2 podcasts out of that. Well,
Mm-hmm.
how many media outlets do they need to pitch in order to get 2 stories written about them in a year? They
Oh,
need
in
to
a
send
year.
about 10 every month, and they'll
Mhm.
get booked on like 2 different magazine coverages every 6 months or so, or
Mhm.
every quarter, something around there. And I said, well, how many would I have to send to get responses for speaking gigs? Right? So if you send 120, I know these numbers. If you send 120 pitches to speaking gigs, you will probably get 5 to 10 responses from the meeting planners.
See.
Then you go through your negotiation and you'll probably land 2 speaking gigs.
Mhm, mhm.
So if you find the right ones, find the right ones in your lifetime account. So for $97, you can get 2 podcasts every month, 2 media coverages every year, or 2 speaking gigs every year. And if you don't, there's a guarantee. If you send the pitches and you end up not getting booked, we will give you 3 times your money back. But you got to have sent the pitches. So use it for a year. If you don't get any podcast, any media coverage, any speaking gigs, hit your boy up. I'm gonna give you back your $99, and I'm gonna give you another 300 on top of it for wasting your time.
Mhm.
It's all on the page. It's all in writing, so they can't
Mm.
say he ain't gonna do that. It's in writing. Hold me to it,
And
right?
this is and one of the things about being part of Speakers Magazine, being part of the community, and we were all about helping speakers get out there and get known because you have a message. So we want to make sure is go there and you can have the lifetime account. Dr. Carl was like, yeah, lifetime, it's lifetime, but you got to be consistent with it. That's the whole point, being consistent with it. And so that part of being consistent with it is like coming on here on the podcast, listening to the podcast, thanking you, and being inspired to keep going. Because I know after a while, anything, if you get a little weary, but that's why I try to do this weekly, get out there, get known. It's like, come on, let's go, let's go, let's do it, let's do it. I know you have it. You got doctor in front of your name, so I know you had to plow through to do some things, right. So yeah, so I know you could do it. You could do it.
So I mean, I'm a firm believer in quick wins. The easiest way to get a quick win is to snatch the low hanging fruit,
Yes.
right? And let me show you an example of this. We did a survey of our 2,000 users, and we asked them, what's the average audience size that you've spoken in front of? And you know what they say?
About
85 to 100.
Yeah, about. Mhm.
Right? It's 85 to 100. Now, this is from beginning speakers up to experienced speakers.
That's the
Even the
average size.
experienced ones, they're not speaking in front of football
Thousands.
stadiums every weekend, right? But they're doing about 100 people, right? So I asked my question. If you can get in front of 100 people to listen to you for an hour or 45 minutes, would you do it? Yeah, I would slam dunk that. Cool. Get on a couple podcasts. Get a quick, easy win. There are a gang of podcasts with 500 downloads. They're putting it on LinkedIn. They're putting it on YouTube. They got more than 100 people.
Yeah.
Get on there. Now you have a win. You know that what we're talking about is valid.
Mhm.
And then start stepping it up, saying, well, man, he told me to do the podcast thing. I got some results. Let me see if he really means it with the speaking gigs. So then you start reaching out to the speaking gigs, and then you start getting responses. You're like, holy crap, what if I would have been doing this from the beginning? Yeah,
Right.
so just I could go
And
on and on.
podcasts beget podcasts. So a lot of times, the more media that you're on, media begets media. More speaking gigs begets speaking gigs. So you want to make sure. I had a client that was in the New York Weekly. He sent that link to a TV station and got on an NBC affiliate TV station. Media begets media. So you want to make sure that you're doing that and you're sharing it, putting it in your subject. I tell people there's 50 ways to share all the things that you're doing besides social media that you want to make sure that you're doing it. It could be in your emails, signature. I mean, if nothing else, the latest thing that you've done. So you want to make sure that you're doing those type of things to make sure that people know who you are, who you serve, and what you do. That's really,
I
really
want to share some testimonials, if you don't mind. I think it may let me share the screen here for a second. I just want to share some testimonials that are on the page that everybody's going to, right? So as you go to this page, you remember I said Seth Miller? He's the first testimonial we put on here. Hey, family, it took me 15 minutes to send out 23 pitches to some podcasts, and I received a reply the same day, right? Jakara. Jakara said, I did an interview using the tool, which followed up with a speaking gig, meaning somebody heard her through a podcast interview and booked her for a speaking gig, right?
and
So
so
we,
it's so in uh, Artress Hollins, Miss Hollins. She says, "How long is the offer available? I won't be able to enroll late until late this evening." It is available now. It is part of the offering. That's why I wanted to make this announcement today. PitchDBD.com/speakers magazine. It is available. That is one of the things that we're doing. I'm sending an email out this evening as well, but I wanted you all to be the first to know because it just happened. Like it just happened, and I really wanted to really, we're going into the last part of the year. I really want people to really pull all of their things together, all the tools that they have, all the pitches, all their assets. Uh, I have something that's coming up where if you don't have all your assets together, help you pull that together. And then also the media. So it is available. So if you can't get to it to this evening, just write pitchdbd.com, speakersmagazine.com, and just make sure that you do it.
yeah,
Just it's going to be there. It is part of the staple of the things of the recipe of what makes a successful speaker. It is part of that thing. So we've got media, we've got the branding assets, and we've got the pitches, so the database. So you want to make sure that you're using all the pieces. Because sometimes people will tell you that you can do this thing and then they don't tell you all the pieces. I want to tell everybody everything. Okay, these are the things that you need to be successful. So it's like, what was the piece that was missing? And so when I had a conversation with Ron, I was like, that's the piece that's missing.
Yeah,
Just
I
have to
think
be inspired to continue to do it. That's for sure.
we've all bought a course before or some training and got an Excel sheet, right? Nothing wrong with the Excel sheet. I think it's great, but I got to do something with it. The Excel sheet could have all the favorite contacts, but if I never send to it, there's nothing wrong with the Excel sheet. It's something wrong with my processes of maybe knowing what to do with it. Do I need to buy this software and put it in here, or do I got to take each one and manually move it into my Gmail? Well, what if we could get rid of that? What if we could eliminate that, right? And just say, hey, all of them are in there. Just go use those. That's what we wanted to do. And that's why I thought this was a great opportunity. A lot of people trust us, Black Speakers Network, National Speakers Association. I mean, I work with a
And
lot of the
BSN
top
is
speakers.
our partner as well. Black
Yeah,
Speakers Network. So
yeah.
Brian Knowles knows as well. So it's one of the main things. Like all the pieces, we always tell people it says join those organizations that support you.
Mhm.
BSN is one because you do need to have a continual family of people that will do that. As Speakers Magazine, we always do our debut with them, and so it's just, and you see all the different pieces that are related. If I was starting out as a speaker, I would make sure I have all these pieces, and then I'll be a success. Don't run around and try and Google everything. It's all there in one tool, right? It's just all in one tool, and we're trying to tell you like this is what you do. So
Yeah,
yeah.
you don't need any AI. We give you the templates, right?
Mhm.
So we have an author who's a good friend of mine, a writer. I shouldn't call him an author, but even though he's written 2 books, but he contributes to over 100 major magazines, Inc., Enterprise, Forbes. He's a contributor there. The templates that we use were written by him. I said, hey man, you've been pitched, you've pitched, write some templates for us so we can use those templates. So you're getting the best templates, not I think these are cool. It was written by Chat GPT. No. This was written by a human who actually is doing the things that we're talking about. He's been pitched. He's pitching people, right? So he's in over 100 magazines. He's your favorite writer's favorite writer, right? He's done a lot of the PR for a lot of the famous Black speakers out there. He wrote the templates that we use. You don't get any better than that.
To another database, and just give an example of Cision, $8,000 a year. They don't write your templates. Okay, we're the publicists, so we have to write our own. But I'm just saying that they don't write the templates. Cision, and then there's so many other ones that are out there that even if you were responding to Haro, help a reporter out, they don't write your templates. So yeah, so those are the kind of things that you definitely want to do. So Ron, thank you so much. This has been really, really good. The comments have been on fire. Dr. Carla is like, I am going through this. She says she's going to be doing it. And thank you so much, Seth, for joining us. Tiana, I see you on here as well. Thank you for joining us today. But yeah, make sure that you all go to PitchDB. That'd be a bit both. Wait, what am I talking about? PitchDB.com, Speakers Magazine, and make sure that you go there and sign up as well. And then we'll have you back and kind of like maybe do a screen share some of the things as well, especially as I dive more into it as well and have success stories of the people from Speakers Magazine. I think that'll be good to kind of show how they share.
I think it would be cool to be able to share like how quick it is, right?
Yeah.
People see, holy crap. And I know somebody's going to sign up for the lifetime deal and get some results. So we'll be able to share their testimonials also.
Yep. Sounds good. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And I'm Pam Perry, and I'm out. Take care. Thanks, everybody.
You've been listening to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast, brought to you by PamPerryPR.com, where you'll get insider tips on how to build your platform, pitch the media, and promote yourself with confidence. Head over to PamPerryPR.com and get the exclusive video training on the 7 must-have marketing materials you need before you pitch in order to be considered in media places or superstar stages. PamPerryPR.com, where you help you shine